Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue our journey for the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship. We have taken a week off and we're back for the second half of this brilliant championship. Today we take to Belgium and to Circuit Zolder, a circuit that's tight, it's twisty, everything in between. It's going to be a lot of fun in these touring cars, and as I say, we are now into the second half of this championship, which means the championship standings are really starting to take a good, well, make a good picture of, you know, who's where, who's going to be where towards the end of the championship, and who is really in that hunt. As it stands, let's bring them up and have a quick look as to how things are racking up in those championship standings. I mean, so far it's been an incredibly close and tight run so far into this point of the season. Of course, I mean, we've had so far we've been to the likes of Monza, Mid-Ohio, Interlagos, the Sachsenring, and now of course into Zolder before we head our way to the Hockenheim, Road America and the Nürburgring. But in terms of the championship standings themselves, Lloyd Biddulph has been in top shape. I mean, this man has come into this championship with everything. The reigning champion, and right now is 28 points clear of his champion rival of Marisuz, who himself is in a very tight fight for second ahead of Bence, Farkas, Pascal Zonpietro and Nena Balasilevich inside the top 5, and then Pavel Mukonin, Shores Oyster, Sebastian Ray just in behind that one as well. All of them incredibly close, and any wins, podiums, top 5s can really swing the balance one way or the other. Luciano Vipfort and Thomas Santino matched on points on 38, with Stunil just behind there in 12th. Then, of course, we look forward to Alan Axon, Ezequiel Cheminando in 13th and 14th. The Argentinian tied with the Spaniard, who's having a much better season this year, matched there in 15th place on 29 points. There comes Fraser Rostance in Dini and Nick Papadin, matched on 9 points apiece. Benny Norton, Simon Trebek, Emmanuel Lopez, the last of those that have managed to score points up until this point in the season. Laszlo Speva, Poddy Flack and Rus Butcher round off the 24-card grid that we had in terms of sign-ups for this amazing championship. But in terms of the circuit itself, the Circuit Zolder is one, as I say, that's tight, it's twisty, it's everything in between. And of course, is the less famous of the two mainstream Belgian circuits, but it is definitely not one that you want to be sleeping on. It's amazing. Circuit Zolder has always been one of my favourites in terms of sort of racing and driving as well. It's so tough, but when you get it right, you know you've got it right. You feel this circuit so well, and you get into such a nice rhythm around it as well. That first sector really flows nicely. Turn 1, get it right, and you feel on top of the world. And then you flow the rest of the circuit, and especially the second chicane, the Kleiner chicane. The sausage curbs, obviously on the inside, the anti-cut curbs are huge, but you have to either completely avoid them or commit 110% to them. Either way, you can gain a lot of lap time from nailing that corner. Then, of course, you run your way towards the up and then back down towards the Villeneuve chicane. Again, one that I love because you can use a lot of the track. Essentially, if you get it right, you can straight line it and gain so much time before you then head towards the final couple of corners. The hairpin at the back end of the circuit, a little bit of a wiggle, back straight, and then that final fast and flowing chicane. But the thing with Zolder is that so many of these corners have one specific line to go quick, right? And which means that when you nail it, you can gain 2, 3, sometimes even maybe 4 or more tenths of a second just from that one corner. But if you mess it up, you can lose a tenth, 2, 3, 4, maybe sometimes even more from the from your personal lap delta. That rhymed as well, by the way. The 1, 2, 3, 4, or even more. I wanted to point that out because I must just be a poet. Shakespeare has got absolutely nothing on Zach Swinney, who I am, by the way, your commentator for the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship. Pleasure as always to be here. We've had the week off and now we're back revitalised as ever. Unfortunately, not a huge amount in terms of attendance for whatever reason, but the most important thing is we have got quality. That includes Lloyd Biddulph, Mukonin, Zabdyr, Pascal Zonpietro, Farkas, Balasilevich, Stu Neal, Shores Oyster, Fraser Rostance, Alan Axon and Benny Norton. So while we have maybe only got 11 cars, we've still got a heap of fun packed into our 2 20-minute races, of which the second one is going to be a top 10 reverse grid. So plenty of action to look forward to. Again, keep me company in the YouTube chat, you know, give me your thoughts, feelings, queries, questions, whatever tickles your fancy as you watch along at home. I don't bite, and and we'd love to indulge in all your questions. Who are you cheering on for? What are your predictions going forward? And what are your thoughts for the championship as well? Because Lloyd Biddulph really is in control. I mean, just looking at his run of form so far, I mean, he's just been on top form. He's only finished outside of the podium once, and that was a 5th. He's been 3rd, 2nd, 2nd, 1st, 2nd, 5th, 1st, a double win at the Sachsenring. Like, Lloyd Biddulph is just insane this season. I don't know what he has for breakfast each morning. I don't know what his father feeds him, but he's a very good cheerleader. I'll give him that. He really does like to support his son and his endeavours in sim racing, so that could well be it. But with each round, I think that Lloyd Biddulph somehow gets even quicker from where he was last week, which is scary because he's still learning, he's still honing his craft, and is already a very impressive force to be reckoned with. Same too can be said sort of for Marisuz, but he's not quite had the same fortune as some around him, and of course would like to maybe find a little bit more pace, whether it's pace or consistency that he's lacking, or maybe just sometimes a little bit of luck. He would like to find some steps forward. But talking to Marisuz, I mean, he's a lovely guy to talk to. He'll always have a chat and talk about obviously his races and things. I love speaking to him after the race room ranked championship races and all the ranked events that he does as well, because you know, he knows how good he is. He knows how high to aspire to. And he always pulls stuff out of the bag. Also very humble, because there'll be times where he's like, yeah, I'll be lucky if I scrape a top 10 or a top 5, and then he goes and puts on the podium and takes the win or whatever. So we have got a very high caliber of talent. So if this is your first time here on the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship, but you are familiar with the race room racing experience scene, chances are you'll recognise some of these guys from the championships around, and for good reason. You know, this is a fairly high stakes championship that will attract some high names. You know, we've got a mixture of both, you know, the top echelon of talent, but also some up and comers. So I think the perfect blend for what we've got. And to be fair, we've got a £320 prize pool on offer for this season. 150 for the winner, 100 for second, and 50 for third, plus an extra 20 on top of that for the lowest incident points over the course of the season as well. So it pays to be clean, quite literally, especially on that run up to Christmas, because we are going to finish this championship right towards the back end of the year on the top. Oh, hang on, 12th of November. That is a lot sooner than I thought. We've only got 3 more weeks after that until the end of the season. I honestly thought we were going into December. And then I've just looked again and just realised how far we are already are into the championship. Yeah. We'll have the next round at the end of October, and then there'll be no... Wow, okay, mid-November then. Fair enough. But even then, towards the end of the year, if you want to save it for Christmas present or whatever, mid-November is the sensible time to start buying Christmas anyway. So, extra 20 quid, extra 150 quid into the back pocket. Can't complain with that one. One bit, especially when it is effectively just for driving pretend race cars around a pretend race track. Anyway, the rambling is over. We are into qualifying. They get 12 minutes onto the clock to set their best lap time possible around Zolder. It's tight, as I say, so track position should in theory be incredibly important around a circuit like this. Not to say overtaking's impossible, but it does pay to start towards the front. As you can see, Lloyd Biddulph is trying to put his best foot forward in achieving that stance in this race, because his qualifying prowess is mighty. Running his way through the final chicane, you can see 2 purple sectors, but that's because no one's put a lap time on the board yet, so he's going to be the first to do so. Across the line, let's see what Lloyd Biddulph can do. So 1 minute 36.6. Let's see across the line. Bence Farkas, 1/4 of a second. Shaw's Oyster, 3/4 of a second off. So far so good for Lloyd Biddulph. His championship rival of Marisuz, Zabdyr, over half a second off. So yeah, Bence Farkas, 1/4 of a second off, is the closest person to Lloyd Biddulph, and that is only the first round of times. Let's remember, of course, there is still the opportunity to improve. The track will get better, of course. And therefore, the drivers will become more acclimatised to the circuit potentially as well. And constantly be finding time. Maybe they get a lap where they get half a second extra slipstream, and they can gain half a tenth or whatever it will be that could well tip the scale. But like Studio just proved, it only takes one mistake around the circuit to ruin a lap. So you have got to be mindful. sure you are nailing the track because, as I say, it's a difficult circuit to nail. There are bumps, undulation, sausage curbs especially. As I say, that second chicane, the Kleiner chicane, translates literally to the small chicane, but the sausage curbs are anything but small. They are absolutely huge. And again, like I said, the way to go about it is either to completely avoid them and go on the lower part of the curb and try and straight line it, or just allow your car to take off. If you try and do both, then you're going to lose a lot of time, and potentially the car can bottom out and spin, and you'll be in a heap of trouble. But it's a very fine balance. I'm not entirely sure how to explain it, but yeah, there's been times where I've turned into the Kleiner chicane, completely thrown the car over, and just thought, I'm dead. This is my race over. And then I look at the dash and I think I'm quarter of a second up. So, and then you're buzzing about it, and then you try the next lap, and then you are actually in the wall. So there is a very fine balance for that chicane. Maybe that's only my experience. Maybe everyone else has got a different one, but maybe I'm just bad. Who knows? Anyway, Lloyd Biddulph, Marisuz Zabdyr. Zabdyr, of course, able to close the gap a little bit more. Now less than 2/10 of a second gap to Lloyd Biddulph, which definitely not a bad gap, but Lloyd Biddulph still in control as he himself is finding more and more time with each lap that goes by. Can do as well. At the moment it's that fourth, only needs a 10.5 to see himself ahead of the Hungarian of Bence Farkas. Across the line, is it the improvement he needs? He's starting his lap time, so he's out lap. Do apologise. Into turn number 2, trying to keep it as wide as possible for as long as possible, but if you cut it in for a later apex, keeping your foot planted to again minimise the steering angle through 3 and then into 4. 90-degree right-hander that you take at such a high speed. Mind that curb on the exit because it's not very thick. You can't use it for very much before you find the gravel. Bring it back over to the right-hand side. Always looking sort of just after the arm probe area there. Or there's a little brake markable that hangs over your head. I usually brake there. But maybe it's slightly different for these guys in the touring cars. Maybe they're better than me. Maybe they can brake later. Into the Villeneuve chicane, and again you're just trying to use all the curb that you can. A little bit of dips in the on the apex where the track cambers. Use that for the rotation. Lloyd Biddulph definitely doing something right now. 3.5 tenths quicker than Marisuz Zabdyr on a 36.2. So again, a bad lap time so far for the Brit. See Stu Neal there, green to the first and second sector, but that only means it's an improvement on his time, not purple. So the plus quarter of a second plus half a second, you can see the bottom right, that's relative to the whole time set by Lloyd Biddulph. So across the line, what's it going to be? Into the 36s, up to third for Stu Neal. So in the end, 0.5 of a second off, made a little bit of a gain relative to Lloyd Biddulph in that final sector. And sits in the second row of the grid, which is a very good benchmark to put in. Speaking of, yeah, actually, Sergey is right. Oh no, it was Andre, sorry, I should say. He was noticed that Mukonen has left for whatever reason. That will mean he can't get back in, because once you're gone in race route. There's no reconnecting, unfortunately. As soon as the race session has started, then you can't find yourself back in, unfortunately. And yeah, majority of the people here, of course, with it being the US Grand Prix today, and it is taking place right now, but I will be watching it alongside the full commentary because I'm a professional, and my sole focus is on the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship, yeah, for some, they wanted to put this aside for today to go and watch the Formula 1, which, to be fair, it has been set up to be a very, very good race. So let's hope they enjoy it. Havon Mukonen, though, he is back. He has gotten himself back in, so maybe because it's not the race, it's only qualifying, he can find himself back in potentially. He's back, he's into 7th place. Bence Farkas goes into 3rd ahead of Stu Neal, so they're in a fight for P3 as it stands. In fairness, they're all in a fight for 2nd at the moment. Only half a second between, or 0.7 of a second, I should say, between Zabdyr and, or 700ths of a second, I should say, between Zabdyr and Farkas. 7/10, that would be absolutely ridiculous. Those two, no, they wouldn't be that far apart. Absolutely no way. We have had a number of other people join the session in the meantime. The likes of Polly Flack, Phil Lawson, Chairmanando as well, I believe, has joined recently to up this from an 11 car grid to a 14. Two minutes left of qualifying, and again, for those unfamiliar with Race Room that are new here, Race Room operates very similar to iRacing, whereby that's time at tick 0 and the session is over. In fact, actually, the session concludes about 10 seconds before, so much so that the results can actually be read and shown. So you really need to be starting your final lap times now if you want to actually have the opportunity to finish them. Nenad Vlasavljevic is going to be one of those drivers that gets that privilege, looking for the shadow that comes down from the sponsor board that goes over your head. Not that shadows are a very good basis to base your markers off, but the bridge itself, the sponsor banner bridge, I should say, is a very good one. Just sort of tells you when to turn more than anything. Aim yourself for the apex and power that curb and put your foot down. Zabdyr, though, he needs an improvement on this final lap, and it's slower to the first sector by a 10th of a second nearly. He's going to round off the second sector, and it's improvement, but still a quarter of a second off the time set by Lloyd Biddulph. He needs an absolutely stellar run through the final few corners. Or second best is the best he's going to muster. Maybe not even that with Bence, Farkas and Stu Neal in the mix. Pascal Jean-Pietro, Pavel Mukkonen not a million miles away either to make the second to sixth battle only span 0.3 of a second, which is more or less than the fight between first and second. Marisuz Zabdyr through the final corner for the final time in this qualifying session. What is it going to be? Is it pole? Is it a consolidation of second? It's an improvement. He closes the gap to now a quarter of a second, but it's not enough. And Zabdyr needs to hope that it's enough to hang on to second, at the very least to share the front row with the reigning champion, but it's not in the end. Lloyd Biddulph takes yet another pole position this season at Circuit Zolder. 1:36.2 was the time to beat. Marisuz Zabdyr joins him on row 1, so it's the top 3 in the championship, 1, 2 and 3 on circuit. Stu Neal rounds off the top 4, Pascal Jean-Pietro the top 5. Pavel Mukkonen, after a late join to the session, rounds off row 3, with Vlasavljevic and Shores Oysa row 4. Then comes Fraser Rostance and Benny Norton in 9th and 10th. Alan Axon, Poddy Flack row 6, with Ezekiel Cheminando and Phil Lawson to round off the 14-car strong field that we've got here today for race 1 of event 5, rounds 9 and 10, of course, of the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship. My name is Zach Sweeney, of course. I'm going to step aside just for 2 minutes while they're into warm-up, and we'll be back for race start. Moments away then from getting this show on the road. Of course, thank you to everyone that is watching along on the YouTube channel here at Trippsix Motorsport. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn the bell on for notifications to not miss a single thing. And also, make sure you go follow Trippsix Motorsport on Instagram as well. They've got highlight reels of each of the rounds, the championship standings, and everything that you need to stay up to date with Season 2 of the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship. As I say, rounds 9 and 10, Event 5 here today to kickstart the second half of this amazing championship. It's Lloyd Biddulph, Marisuz, Zabdyr, and Bence Farkas, the top 3 in qualifying. Stu Neal rounding off in 4th. So the top 4 looking incredibly spicy, but Lloyd Biddulph it was a quarter of a tenth of a second. A quarter of a second, 2.5 tenths of a second at the end of qualifying. I'll get my facts right someday, I promise. So showcasing the absolute strength that he's got in terms of raw pace, and let's not beat around the bush. He is going to be able to back that up in terms of consistency as well. So it's vital for Marisuz to get himself ahead if he wants any chance of closing that huge wedge in the championship. 20 minutes on the clock. Round 9 of Season 2 of the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship. The top 2 in the championship run off on the front row. The 5 red lights are on, and we're underway in Belgium. A good initial launch from the front row for Lloyd Biddulph and Marisuz, who all cover off their bases into turn number 1. Bence Farkas not under pressure from Stu Neal either, but maybe a couple of changes a little bit further back. The top 3 nicely through cleanly as their noses out side by side in the back now. Pablo Mukonin fighting away with the Swiss driver of Pascal Jean-Pietre as they run their way into turn number 2. But so far, so good for our championship leader and now race leader as well of Lloyd Biddulph, who's able to consolidate that lead off the start of the lap. You can see how many Lynx and Co-cars there are chasing down the 2 Audis, the single Audi of Lloyd Biddulph, the other Audi of Nena Blasevljevic, sandwiching them together in a very, very stacked Lynx and Co sandwich into the Kleiner chicane, and there's no changes as of yet, so Lloyd Biddulph able to stay ahead for now. This is his freedom. He needs to use the opening phase of this race to get away and showcase that prowess that we saw in qualifying. Otherwise, Marisuz is all over his rear end and is going to be pestering him for the foreseeable future. And Lloyd Biddulph would rather not have that and ideally run away with an easier time of things. But Marisuz, he's not that type of driver. He's not going to let him go. He's going to be absolutely relentless for as long as he physically can be. Into the final chicane, and you can see Zabdyr and Biddulph very close, but not quite close enough as of yet. Lloyd Biddulph just seems to have a wrap on things, but Zabdyr needs to make sure that that slipstream that he's got now on the pit straight should be used to good effect, and if he can launch an attack just to keep them in touch. He's looking to the left-hand side. Is he going to go for the move? He is. Marisuz sends the move for the lead. Lloyd Biddulph leaves him to dry around the outside. Beautifully done. Are they going to continue their run too wide? They're not. Biddulph cuts it off. Marisuz sparking the offence here onto lap number 2. Bence Farkas as well bringing himself into the mix. A good attempt and a very important one as well at that for Marisuz, because he needs to stay in touch with the championship leader. And the only way to do that is to attack, be absolutely flat out from lap 1 and not give the Audi RS3 a moment to breathe. A good attempt, but an even better defence from Lloyd Biddulph. In the end of it, saw him stay ahead. Up over the social clubs, and you can see there Zabdyr not getting the best of runs, losing a little bit of time to Biddulph. I think it's vital now that Farkas gets the idea that they need to work together, because if the Hungarian fights with the pole, then the Brit is going to be able to run away with things out in front. That, of course, is not what the second and third place drivers of Zabdyr and Farkas want. They need to be in contention for the lead, but they also have to be very mindful about how they battle, because Farkas might want to lead this Lynx and Co train that Andre has very correctly put. He might want to be the the first attacker of Biddulph, but also how much is he willing to sacrifice in order to get to that point, because he can fight tooth and nail and get into second all he likes, but if it means that Lloyd Biddulph ends up 2.5 seconds up the road, then there's not going to be much of an offence to lead. We round off lap 2, starting 3, no attack from Zabdyr this time by. But fair play to these guys considering the gap in qualifying. They're keeping Biddulph quite honest. Respect to them for that. Biddulph is the one that has constantly set the benchmark throughout this entire season so far. As we say, he's not finished outside the top 5. and the only time he's finished off the podium was a 5th place. So the man knows what he's doing. He knows how to drive these touring cars. He's at one with that Audi RS3. He's moving away from the Alfa Romeo of last season. He has had a little bit of a learning curve to have, but as have most, taken to the Lynx & Co for this season, which seems to be the most favourable in terms of drivability and speed, but Biddulph showcasing that just because it's the quickest car on paper doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the quickest car over the course of the season, because maybe Biddulph tried the Lynx & Co and couldn't quite adapt to it quite well, could only extract maybe 70% of what Zabdyr could, but he can jump into the Audi RS3 and get 95% of what the car's capable of. Maybe the RS3 might be a little bit slower in terms of balance performance and things, but for Biddulph, it's the better choice. It's the one he's been most comfortable in. It's the one he's been able to deliver results in. And he's been no stranger to amazing results this season. 15 minutes left to go. Top 6 still in their train. Bit of a gap back to Nenad Vlasovljevic though in that fellow Audi RS3 you can see in the background. As of yet, they're all close, but not really close enough to have anything happen. Biddulph slowly but surely bridging the gap, or growing the gap between himself and Zabdyr. Building a longer bridge, I suppose, between himself and Zabdyr. Now to 0.8 of a second, so the gap between 3rd and 2nd is closing, but the gap between 2nd and 1st isn't, so Farkas might need to get his priorities in line and maybe start to think about getting a move done if he wants any chance of staying in contention for this lead. Zabdyr not getting the best of runs through the kind of chicane, and on that run towards Villeneuve, is the gap going to open up for Farkas to go for the move? He's not quite close enough this time by. Zabdyr covers it off nicely, just as a bit of a deterrent going through the uphill climb and dip. Just moving his car nicely. He didn't have to defend going to the Villeneuve chicane, but he forced Farkas to lift and concede and stay behind for now. That gap growing though to a 2nd, so Biddulph definitely got the pace. Let's see how he runs with it. Next couple of moments, of course, for the remaining 13 minutes of this race. Of course, that would see him extend his championship lead, which you'd imagine he's quite keen to do. Funnily enough, the reigning champion, looking for an extra £150 in his back pocket at the end of the season. As we say, 150 for the winner, 100 for 2nd, 50 for 3rd. All are great prizes, let's not forget, but 150 is the top dog prize. Biddulph at the moment is in perfect stead to go and seize it. Of course, plenty of racing still to come. We've got 7 races after this one to go, so still 140, over 2 hours of racing action to call. So plenty of time between now and then for Biddulph to mess things up or to dominate even further. That's, it can go both ways. Zabdyr needs to really put his backside in gear and hope that he's got enough to challenge. It was a close challenge over the course of season 1, but so far in season 2, Biddulph has been practicing every single challenge to the pole. So much so that the pole can't even challenge it. A little bit further back though, we've got some nice battling going on here. You can see just ahead of Hammer Mukonin. We've got Pascal on pitch, Stu Neal fighting for 4th. What it's done is put the Swiss on the back foot. It's now the Russian driver of Mukonin. Is he going to be looking eager to go for a move? Not quite close enough this time by. Are there going to be any changes at all between these guys? I mean, they look feisty, but again, they want to stay in contention in this train. Starting to space out just a little bit. Not incredibly close in the background either. I mean, you've got Rolls Royce and Fraser Rothstein separated by about half a second. We approach halfway through, 11.5 minutes left to go. And very close actually, look at Farkas. The rearview mirror of Marisuz, which is probably to the benefit of the Hungarian at this point. I don't think either of them are going to have the pace to challenge Lloyd Biddulph. He is too far gone after that initial attack. Biddulph knew that he needed to drive away to avoid any more confusion, any more pressure. Didn't wait around for that opportunity to seize. He saw a gap in Zabdyr's attack and took him with open arms and drove off with it. He's now opened up a gap of now 2 seconds to the rest of the pack, showcasing his brilliance. But Zabdyr, his priorities might shift. It could now just be a case of hanging on to second as best as he can. Farkas is doing everything in his power in order to find a way past. We saw a couple of looks. Nothing quite too serious as it stands for Hungarian, because he probably waiting for that high percentage chance to move. He doesn't want to go for a 50-50. He wants an 80-20 chance of sealing the deal. No point throwing it all away in one move. 10 minutes left to go and half the race still to come, so let's not forget that just because the racing action hasn't been incredibly densely packed up until now doesn't mean it can't ramp up in the second half of this race. And don't forget, we've got the second half of the evening to come with race 2 as well. Through the fast right-hander at turn 5. No, turn 4. This is 5 into 6. I know what corner it is. Most of the time, some of the time. A little bit of the time, but that's fine. We pretend we fake it till we make it. These guys, as it stands, are second and third. Not really doing much. I mean, Farkas, I don't know, maybe he could be doing more. Maybe he could be sending moves as such, but he can't really be worried about losing time to Lloyd Biddulph, because that's already, you know, that ship's already sailed, really. Biddulph is already 1.5 seconds clear. Sometimes even more. They're hovering around the 1.8, 1.9, 1.7 area, I should say. So it's not even a case of if Farkas stays behind they can catch, because they're not. Farkas needs to be doing something. If he has got the pace to win, he needs to get ahead of Zabdyr and do it now, because time is very much a luxury. It's not something you can take for granted. It's not a given. We've got to be mindful of that. Pavel Mikonin on the back of Stu Neal. Now he's been able to move his way past Pascal Jean-Pierre into 5th. Running a little bit wider, Stu Neal. That could provoke a side-by-side moment. Pavel Mikonin goes to the left, going into turn number 2. He sails his way the long way round. Beautifully done. He gets given the space, but forced the extremities of the circuit over the curb by Stu Neal, who's now going to be on the defensive line through 3, then into 4. Pavel Mikonin stuck on the outside, which is not where you want to be into this corner, but he's going to commit to it anyway. Does he get given the space? No, he's forced to tuck in behind. Now we've got 3 cars nose to tail in this fight for 4th. Are there going to be any changes? Defensive goes Neal into the Kleiner chicane, but Pavel Mikonin stays to the left as to defend, but also attack at the same time. He's offline, and that could open the door for Pascal Jean-Pierre. He's got such a better run up over the crest, and now as we dip our way down towards the Villeneuve chicane, could very well see an attack from the Swissman. Not quite close enough on this particular occasion. Attempt, but all in vain really for Pavel Mikonin. Good attempt to make the most of the mistake by Stu Neal though. The two of them very close. To that final chicane, pushing each other through sometimes. Showcasing just the level of trust that they've got with each other. Great respect shown, of course, and well, Pavel Mikonin all over the rear end of Stu Neal. Could we see a repeat of what we saw this time a lap ago? Is he close enough to launch an attack? Is Stu Neal going to make a mistake? Mikonin trying to keep it nice and tight, get a better exit, be quick where you need to be. Just going in and coming out of corners, and if you can do that, then chances are you're probably doing something right. Because that's the place you get the overtake done. It's going in, it's coming out. You can't overtake on the apex. Got to get it done in the braking or on the acceleration. Also very close, a little bit further up, literally got 2 seconds further up between Zabdyr and Farkas. poor run from Zabdyr. You can see the overspeed the Hungarian's got, but Zabdyr moves over to cover it off. Farkas squeezes his nose through, opens the gap into the Villeneuve chicane. They're both going to be brave on the brakes, but it's Zabdyr the long way round, close to contact between the two of them. Then it's Farkas. A good attempt, trying to make the most of the mistake, but Zabdyr shuts the door on him. Says absolutely not. Hangs on to second. Happen. 5 minutes 45 left to go. Also very close. You can see also that battle behind Stu Neal, visualising even more. Could we see Mukkonen going for movement into that particular chicane? But a brilliant battle nonetheless. Zolder was always going to be a little bit difficult, I think, with overtaking opportunities not being in complete abundance. You can see a move in the background there. Pavel Mukkonen pulling out to the left if he wants to go for that move on Stu Neal, will just about be able to catch it in the background. Let's see if there's going to be any swaps. Stu Neal's been able to hang on, as you can see. And Andre was right, actually. We've got Zabdyr and Farkas, which is car number 11, and then we've got Neal and Mukkonen, which is car 100, which is a fun fact. 11 squared and 100 squared. You can see there, Farkas potentially going for the move. He thought about it. He had a bit of overlap, but backed out of it into the final chicane. Probably the better of the two ideas. Now he's got a little bit of overspeed. The Villeneuve chicane, it didn't quite work for him last time by, but he might be able to spring a surprise for the pole. Not quite. Forced to stay back for now, but keeping that pressure on. I have to say to Zabdyr, he's doing a brilliant job of keeping himself composed. It's something that I've always prided Zabdyr on, is his composure. No matter what goes his way, he always keeps a calm, composed, cool head. It takes a lot to rattle him. Pavel Mukkonen on the back of Stu Neal once again. Could he see himself finally into 4th place? But Neal is another driver that is good at keeping his composure. They did go side by side, at least momentarily, but Neal once more still able to have the measure ahead of the Russian, who has debuted this season and has done nothing but impress. Into the inside, going into the final chicane, not quite enough overlap though, and now we've got the Serbian of Vladislav into the mix. 4 cars, nose to tail into the final 3.5 minutes of this race. Are there going to be any changes as we run away towards turn number 1? There could well be a send from any one of these 4. Stu Neal from Mukkonen, John Pietra and Vladislav run line astern, but a little bit wide there, provoked by Pavel Mukkonen, forces him to go wide, and that could be the open door that Pascal Jean-Pietre needs. He has to be so careful, does Mukkonen, where he attacks, but it could well be here. He chucks the move to the inside of 3. It's going to give him the inside once more as they run their way into the fast right-hander, and now outside line for Stu Neal. He's trying to keep his foot in, but it's not quite worked for Mukkonen. Taking the shorter run, stays ahead, and Stu Neal could well be in trouble. He's done so well to defend 4th. Could he lose 5th in one foul swoop? No, he hasn't. He's been able to hang on, but immediately on the attack of Pavel Mukkonen, does not want to let the Russian breathe and wants that 4th place back. Mukkonen driving a sensational race so far. We've got 2 laps to go, and late on the brakes, Neal getting desperate. Pavel Mukkonen just about giving him the space, but not a lot. They were close to contact, the 2 of them. John Pietra trying to find a gap. But again, can't quite find it himself. See Pascal Jean-Pietra now also under pressure, but in fact he's going to go for offense as the best defense, trying to send the move to the inside of Stu Neal. It's sent him wide over the grass. He cuts across, and there comes Vladislav. There's contact. He sent Pascal Jean-Pietra sending himself into the wall, trying to find himself side by side with Stu Neal. I think instant regret has set in for the Serbian, who slows himself down and lets the Swiss through. But in doing so, both of them have lost 2 places to Shaw's Oyster and Fraser Rostan. It's a clumsy mistake, but something that's happened nonetheless. Continue their battle. I don't think Pascal Jean-Pietra is too keen on allowing Vladislav to sort of let him take the position back. Maybe they just set a mutual agreement of, well, no you go, and so they both think they were the ones at fault. But either way, they're 8th and 9th on the road as it stands. Obviously the penultimate lap of this race. Stu Neal and Pavel Mukkonen still fairly close, but the fight that is closest is this one. Zabdyr, Farkas. 1:30 left to go in race number 1. Up over the crest, and this is exactly where Farkas likes to get the moves done, because you can see the overspeed that he's got, but he's not quite got the overlap, and that's the important bit. Zabdyr just seems to always have his bases covered. And Farkas can't quite seem to force him into a mistake either. Taking our way into the final seconds of this race. Of course, it's Lloyd Biddulph that leads, unsurprising to absolutely nobody. He's controlled this race from start to finish so far. I mean, granted he has got one more lap to go, that's fair. But so far he's done 12 and hasn't been phased. The man has been on top form, continues to impress. Seconds left on the clock, and Farkas needs to find something if he wants to pit Zabdyr to second. Of course, these two not separated by a lot in the Drivers' Championship. Let's not forget the two of them only separated by 2 points. So this is a direct fight for what could turn itself into 50 Great British Pounds difference. So maybe Zabdyr, seeing the championship slip away from him, wants to consolidate second. Time 6 down to 0. We are on the final lap of this race. 13 by the end of it. So look out for that number in race 2 as well. Farkas all over the rear end of Zabdyr, but unless he finds something special, unless he puts a rocket ship in the back of that car for the final half a lap, then it's not quite going to be enough, I don't think. We'll see Lloyd Biddulph across the line, of course, when he gets to that point, but we've still got two, in fact, major braking zones left to go. Farkas needs to nail this one in order to be able to set up the next. If it's going to be a last lap lunge, he needs to send it, but I don't quite think he's close enough. For Biddulph, so far he's won 3 races so far this season. He's about to make it 4th, his 3rd in a row. Lloyd Biddulph from pole position by 2.5 tenths of a second takes race 1, round 9 of the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship. Beautifully done by the Brit, who extends his championship margin at the top. And nicely done. 3 seconds clear of Marisuz and Bence Farkas, who all stayed where they started. We'll bring you up the final finishing order in just a second there. You can see Lloyd Biddulph the fastest lap as well. 36.3, which is insane pace. Marisuz, Bence Farkas in there, a very tight battle to the end. Lines up with Zabdyr taking second, Farkas in third. Buchanan and Stu-Nil, again another 2 drivers that took a very fierce rivalry in race 1, 4th and 5th respectively between the two of them. Then comes Jules Oyster, Fraser Rostance ahead of Vladislav and Pascal Jean-Pietre. The Dutchman and the Brit able to capitalise on the contact between Vladislav and Pascal. Phil Lawson in 10th, Benny Norton just in behind that, and that is of course the top 10 reverse grid that we'll have going into race number 2. Very quickly, it's Axton, Cherminando and Polly Flack, the rest of the field. My name is Zach Sweeney. I'm going to step aside while we change sessions. We'll be back for the start of race 2. Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, as we're just moments away from getting race 2 underway here for event 5 of the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship. It's a top 10 reverse grid, of course, based on the finishing order of race 1. Lloyd Biddulph, Marisuz, Zabdyr and Bence Farkas taking the podium over the course of the first 20-minute sprint. And now we get to flip that on its head and go again. Who's going to be the one to come out on top? Could it well be another double whammy like we saw at the Saxon Ring for Lloyd Biddulph? Or will someone else come out on top? Find out in just a few moments' time. My name, of course, Zach Sweeney, still your commentator here today. And, well, very much looking forward to seeing the end result of this evening and also the remaining 3 rounds that we've got as we travel our way towards the end of this season, of course. We still have the Hockenheimring, Road America and the Nürburgring GP to go over the course of the next 3 weeks. But now, 20 minutes back on the clock, Phil Lawson, Pascal Jean-Pietre, the front row. The fire red lights will come on. Race number 2. Event 5 of Season 2 of the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship is underway, and a good start initially for the Alfa Romeo, but look for that Lynx & Co car, Pascal Jean-Pietre, who showed some mighty pace over the course of race 1. He's looking to take an early lead, but around the outside goes Nenad Vlasovic on Fraser Rostaz. He's been able to promote himself up and immediately start to attack for second. No changes though at the front of the field between Phil Lawson and Pascal Jean-Pietre. Vlasovic though has picked himself up into a very pretty third position. Looking a little bit further back, Zabdyr's dropped down to 10th, but Farkas is able to keep Lloyd Biddulph behind for now, just keeping track of everything that's been going on. Big contact though, I think Pavel Mukkonen has been able to pick up some slack in the back of the field. You can see there Pavel Mukkonen at the back, Poddy Flack as well, and that is unfortunate for those involved, but it's allowed Bence Farkas and Lloyd Biddulph to carve their way through the field, up a couple of places, already into 4th, and now a fight for the lead as it emerges up over the crest at the top of the hill, running away back down towards the Villeneuve chicane. Phil Lawson's not really got much of a defence on offer because Pascal Jean-Pietre is going to be late on the brakes into the Villeneuve chicane. He gets himself ahead, takes the apex away, and takes the race lead from Phil Lawson's hands in the opening half of the lap here at Circuit Zolder. Beautifully done from Pascal Jean-Pietre. And also a fight there, Bence Farkas trying to get himself onto the podium, but he's got the tank of Vlasovic to find his way past first, but that's not going to stop him from giving it a go around the outside of the hairpin. As Vlasovic also tries to mount a charge for second place. Could we see 3 wide into that final chicane? Who's going to be the one to come out ahead? As it stands, it's Farkas ahead of Vlasovic, who's now going to be brave on the brakes as well and try and take second in one foul swoop. Lloyd Biddulph picking his way through the carnage as well to potentially follow Farkas through and take 2 places in one. Beautifully done from the championship leader, who's already into 3rd place, and we've only just rounded off the first lap. As there you can see Marisuz Zabdyr trying to carve his way to the inside of Shaw's Oyster in the fight for 6th, just in the background as well, which is absolutely insane. And the progress the front guys are showing, but up 6 for Farkas, up 7 already for Biddulph, showing some incredibly respectable times. And still 17 minutes left of this race. Of course, Pascal was going to be hoping that he's got a big enough gap back to the rest of the field in order to hang on for the next 18 minutes, but that definitely seems to be a little bit too far-fetched, and he might have to work for it in the coming laps, because Farkas and Biddulph are charging balls towards a very common goal. A little bit wide there from the pole sitter of Phil Lawson. Could allow the Serbian of Zabdyr to find his way past. He's going to go to the outside, is the Audi RS3. Phil Lawson learning his lesson and defending, but it's not going to stop Zabdyr from giving it a go. It's not going to stop Zabdyr from picking them both off as well. Through he goes, nicely done. But Zabdyr taking to the grass to chuck the move back to the inside as they run their way up the hill through the right-hander. Maynard, that was a little bit controversial, but a good move nonetheless, I suppose, in some circumstances. Zabdyr, of course, not going to be happy at all. He darts to the inside. He's brave on the brakes into their hairpin. They're 2 rows of 2. The 2 Alfa Romeo's just in behind of Lawson and Oyster running it for 6th place as well. But it's Zabdyr that takes 4th ahead of Zabdyr with a very late send to the inside. They run their way to round off lap number 2 once more. Is it going to be a late send from the Serbian? Not quite close enough on this occasion. And Zabdyr now has got a task ahead of him. He's got to close the gap to the top 3 if he wants any chance of mounting up to a challenge for the podium. But Zabdyr, I can predict, is probably not going to make it too easy for him. Line astern, 1, 2 and 3s. Pascal Jean-Pietre, Bence, Farkas and Lloyd Biddulph. Still plenty of racing to go. And already race 2 showcasing a lot of carnage, a lot of chaos, a lot of excitement. Everything you could ask for. And still, as I say, we've got over 3/4 of the race to go. Let's see what a defence that Pascal can have. But what a way. I mean, we've already just seen probably double the overtakes that we saw in the entirety of race 1 already in the form of race 2. So fair play to these guys. Be respectful. And the pinnacle of Touring Car Championships on Trippsix. Well, Trippsix are the pinnacle on race room, I should say. Trippsix isn't a platform. It's a league. But you know what I meant. Or you didn't. Maybe you didn't. I knew what I meant. I just obviously can't do my job very well. Anyway, 15 minutes. 3 cars. And 1 lead. Be the one to take the win. I mean, the thing is that Lloyd Biddulph, I mean, he just looks so in control. I mean, Farkas on the hinge, they're pushing like crazy to stay in this. But Biddulph at the moment just seems like he's cruising, like he knows he's got enough time. Like he can, not necessarily like take his foot off the gas or anything like that, but more so that he's composed enough, he's confident enough to know that he can take his time with this. He doesn't have to rush things. He doesn't have to nail every lap to stay in contention like maybe the 2 in front of him will. Just seems to me that he's got it. He's got this whole race planned out, or he doesn't, and he is struggling to stay with the top 2 either way. Nose to tail, the top 3 separated by just 0.3 of a second. Picking up some dust in the background though in a very hotly contested fight for 4th. I don't even know English anymore, guys. It's been a long week, all right. It's been a very long week. Heatly now apparently is a word. In fairness, it is the name of another commentator who I just work with the production team, but no idea why that would pop into my head. I think I would say heated and hotly both at the same time, and my brain just wasn't having it. But anyway, that's me rambling on long enough. We've got Lloyd Biddulph potentially looking for a move, but you can see that the mindset for most drivers when they're under attack is to brake just as late as they can and move over to the right, almost as if they're going for a move themselves. Because they seem that if they can attack, then chances are they can, you know, defend at the same time. Which, to be fair, has worked for Farkas on this occasion. How long will he get away with thwarting the attack from the Champions League though? As already we're closing into halfway. 4 laps through of 4 laps through onto lap 5 of what should be a 13-lap race. Still nothing separating the top 3. just a little bit of empty space, really. Car length here and there. 2 Lynx & Co. dominating out in front, but again, for how much longer? Biddulph does look menacing. Zabdyr and Farkas don't think they're closing at all, but maybe with a bit more battling, a bit more encouragement, they could find themselves into the mix. They're breaking away from the likes of Lawson, Boyset, give themselves a close grip stance. Oh my goodness me, Lloyd Biddulph all over the rear end of Bence Farkas there. Which was very sketchy, let's put it that way. But thankfully no harm, no foul on that particular occasion. Farkas once again very late on the brakes into the hairpin, knowing that Biddulph is there. Already you can see in the YouTube chat confirmed that planning for Season 3 is already underway. Hopefully part of that plan is to have me as the commentator. That would be good. I know Darren Thacker has stepped into my shoes to work around at Interlagos and did a stellar job because he is a mightily good commentator, but let's hope I'm in good stead with Rich going forward, and I'll be back. If I'm not, I hope it's Darren Thacker. But definitely be me, because this championship is amazing. I've been commentating it since the start of Season 1, and I have enjoyed it ever since. It's been a mighty ride, and just always week in, week out. Battles up and down the field. So if you are looking to get involved and are committed to each and every single round, make sure you are going to be here every week. That this is going to be somewhat of a priority, that you do want to compete for the long haul. Then make sure to get yourself signed up for Season 3. Doesn't matter your skill level, doesn't matter how good you are, just get yourself involved, because this is a mighty group of lads that will very much push you to your limits. So if this does look like a little bit of fun to you, wait a few weeks and potentially we might see you on the grid for Season 3, whatever calendar that may entail, because the calendars, to be fair, have been mega. This season especially. I mean, we're going to be taking 3 trips to Germany, but it's because the Germans make good tracks and good cars as well. One of them is that Audi RS3 that Lloyd Biddulph is driving as it stands at the moment, making really good use of that German technology all over the rear end of the Lynx & Co's of Pascal Jean-Pierre and Bence Farkas. And we'll see how the last few rounds go. That's fine, yeah, that's absolutely, yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah, I'll do my best. Maybe I need to bring a dictionary and a thesaurus with me just so I don't get hot. I've just got to do it again. I've just got to say hotted, because I've got to say heated and hotly at the same time. So I've done the other combination of the word, which is fine. Hotly and heated mixed up, but I've already done it twice in the span of 5 minutes. So I don't know how confident I am with that one, to be honest. But anyway, we're into the second half of the race, or at least we will be now. And still, it's Ron Pietra from Farkas, Biddulph, Zabdyr, and Vladislav, the top 5. Lawson, Shaw Zoyser, Fraser Rostan, Sunil and Pavan Mukona round off the top 10. Not been quite the race that the Russian would have wanted towards the back end, but of course involved in an incident earlier on, assuming with we're assuming with Poddy Flack and Benny Norton right in the back end of the field, both of whom are now out of this race. But look at that. Oh, Lloyd Biddulph thinking about the move on Farkas. Not doing enough on this occasion, just idle threats at this stage. Right on the left, chicane, and of course you can see the Belgian flag on the side of Lloyd Biddulph. Of course in race room you don't get custom liveries, you get your sort of the pre-designed ones based off the real-life counterparts of the championship that you're doing, unless there's special circumstances like a set event like I have one of the rocket racing style liveries, because that was a competition I competed in. But you don't get custom liveries as such, you just sort of get the real-life equivalent of the car. So Lloyd Biddulph isn't from Belgium, but maybe it's that Belgian spirit in the form of that Audi RS3 that's pushing him to maybe could be 2 home victories here in Zolder. Race 1, of course, was dominant. He's had to work a little bit for race 2, but still firmly in contention. Zabdyr and Vladislav not a million miles away. Let's not forget that if anything happens between these guys, and it is a short fuse, there is plenty of potential here for fireworks. They could easily lose 2-3 seconds in a lap, maybe over the course of 2 or 3 laps, then definitely we could see Zabdyr and Vladislav back into contention. 8 minutes left to go for round 10 of Season 2, of course Event 5, Race 2, whichever way you want to see it. We took the first 4, we took a break week, and back now for the final 8 rounds of this championship. Under pressure, a ball run out of the Kleiner chicane for Bence Farkas. She's Lloyd Biddulph now side by side with him. It's the outside as they run their way into the next chicane, but Lloyd Biddulph sends Farkas in deep, gets the up and under. Has he got the overlap into the next right? He hasn't. Farkas keeps him at bay. A mightily good attempt, it must be said, for Biddulph. It's allowing Pascal to build a bit of a gap though. Jean-Pierre wanting to bridge the gap away from the rest of the field if he can. Just get some breathing room, because I know for a fact if there are 2 drivers on this field I wouldn't want directly behind me, hammering me for the entire race, it's Farkas and Biddulph, funnily enough, who have been the 2 that have been hammering Jean-Pierre for the entire race up until this point. Farkas and Biddulph. So he's not had it easy, let's put it that way, but Pascal showcasing his strengths and showcasing that he definitely does deserve to be at the top of the timesheets at the moment. Stands no victories for Jean-Pierre this season. He's taken a podium, a number of top 5s, and 1 7th place and a 6th place as well. No wins, so this would be a first for Jean-Pierre in season 2. Pretty sure he won in season 1 as well. What do I know? I'm just a commentator. It's almost as if it's my job to know these things. I'm pretty sure he did. I'd be surprised if he didn't win at all last season. He was wisely good. I think he was in the upper very similar with the majority of the rest of the field. He was mega quick. He still is mega quick. Is Pascal. So at the very least, but this would be a first win of this season. Let's put it that way. Thanks guys. I don't know if I had tea yesterday, so some slack would be lovely. Pascal, he is heading away. Not really much happened further back. I mean, Boys from Ross starting close to the back of Phil Lawson and that little three-way front we've got going on. Pavan Buchanan, to be fair, has closed the gap as well, trying to limit the damage. He had after, of course, sustaining the incident early on in this race. Zabdyr and Farkas are also close, but doing their best, I think, to close into this little race. They've got more than anything, but we've got 5 minutes left to go. We round off lap 9, so we've got 4 laps. 10, 11, 12 and 13 left to go. So they are going to go through thick and fast. Time is of the essence for these 3. These are going to feel like the quickest 4 laps for Farkas and Biddulph, the longest 4 laps for Pascal Jean-Pierre. Because of the relative perception of time, I suppose. Flies when you're having fun and flies when you need it to go slow, but also then drags on when you want it to go as fast as possible just to get you out of that situation. Unfortunately for Jean-Pierre, there's no escaping the harsh reality that is the defence that he's going to have to put up against Farkas and Biddulph. Still no changes. I think it just does need a catalyst with these guys, because they, as I say, it's a short fuse and it just needs a spark to ignite it. But at the moment, it's just reaching equilibrium. It's just a stalemate. No one's doing anything. They're all at the same speed. No one's made a mistake. No one's close enough. Nothing's changing for there to be a spark, for there to be that reaction that we need to trigger these 3 to have a fight. They're all just so good. So close, which is great, don't get me wrong, but from a viewing perspective it means that we just have 3 cars nose to tail, not really doing much. So it would be nice if one of them can either find something different, find some pace, or maybe Jean-Pierre makes a small mistake and allows Farkas to go for a move, which then entices Lloyd Biddulph to go for one himself. 3 to go, they counted them down. Zabdyr now only 3.5 seconds off the back of Lloyd Biddulph. In fact, off the back of Farkas, of Jean-Pierre, I should say. Yeah, that's right, the leader, of course. So in fairness, he's only 2.2 off the back of this train. See the winners and the losses. You can see that basically from 5th downwards, everyone's lost places, and from 5th upwards, everyone's gained places. I mean, Pascal gaining that place up into the lead. Farkas from 7th, Biddulph from 10th, Zabdyr from 8th, 9th I should say. So Farkas was from 8th, so Farkas was 8th, Zabdyr was 9th, and Biddulph was 10th. They've all made some big gains. Lloyd Biddulph trying to make it even more, but Farkas forced to defend, braking just later, nearly into the back of Jean-Pietro, and look at how close they are. Could that be the catalyst we need, or is it going to end in stalemate once again? There he goes, Farkas ducking, diving, weaving around, maybe just searching for a gap, or deterring Lloyd Biddulph from going for one himself. 2 minutes left on the clock. We're on to the penultimate lap of this race, lap 12. 2 to go. Stakes are ramping up for these guys. They know that time is very much a luxury, and it's one they don't have. Trying to find the gap up and under for Bence Farkas, but Pascal's got it covered. He's going to need to go for a send. He thought about it there, but was wiser. Now on the exit 4, you can barely see Lloyd Biddulph as he's tucked up so close to the rear end. Farkas pulls to the left, but it's not enough. It's not close enough, not into this chicane. The trust that these three have to run so close together, especially through difficult corners like the Kleiner chicane. Up over the crest, it's all about the driver exit. It all now depends on who's going to be bravest on the brakes, but I think Pascal's got it covered. No changes. A lap and a half to go. Zabdyr been able to break away from Trippsix, so now just suspended in no man's land, really. He's going to be hoping that these three come to blows that allow him to pave the way through. A minute to go, a lap left. Lloyd Biddulph going for the send, but they're all braking at roughly the same point. Lloyd knows that if he brakes too late, he's going to risk going into the side of Jean-Pietro, and that's the last thing he wants, is to sustain a penalty. Up and under though. Farkas weaving around, he's searching for a gap, baiting for a mistake, wanting some sort of a reaction from the Swissman, and I think he might have got one there. Look at the up and under that he's got side by side to start the final lap. 32 seconds on the clock, lap 13 to go. Jean-Pietro has led every single one of them. Maybe the most important one could be the one that it slips through his grasp, and it's the outside line for Bence Farkas, but Lloyd Biddulph goes through. They're 3 wide on the exit, and Jean-Pietro's forced off. Farkas takes the lead ahead of Biddulph. And now it's a fight between the two. Jean-Pietro is going to be gutted. You don't have to lead any of the laps apart from the run from the last corner to the line. That's the only one that matters. This is the lap that matters, and unfortunately for Jean-Pietro, he let it slip through his fingers. Biddulph through the middle, Farkas overtaking, and now it's a straight fight. Lloyd Biddulph wants that 4th win in a row. He wants that 2nd double whammy from the Sachsenring to Zolder, the final lap of the race, and it comes down to this. Pascal, to be fair, he's still in contention. If there's any mishaps in the final couple of corners, he'll be the one to pick up the pieces. But you can understand the man is going to be gutted. Biddulph has been sizing up this move into this hairpin for so long. Is it now finally his opportunity to seize the moment? He's not close enough. Farkas, he's got 1 chicane left, but he's got an Audi RS3 that's been pestering him for the last 20 minutes of racing. Can he hang on? Has he got the nerve? Has Biddulph got the capacity to go for the move as well? He pulls out to the left. He might well go for a last-ditch effort for the win. He's squirming under brakes. But as long as Farkas keeps it clean, it might well be the Hungarians to take the victory. And it is. It was being so close. But Farkas took the lead coming out of turn 1 of the final lap. And he takes victory for race 2, round 10 of the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship here in Zolder in a fantastic fashion. Ahead of Lloyd Biddulph and Pascal Jean-Pietro, who takes his first podium of the season. A bittersweet ending nonetheless for the Swiss. We'll run you through, of course, the final finishing order in just a second when everyone's crossed the line. There they are, Bence Farkas, Lloyd Biddulph and Pascal Jean-Pietro, hard-fought fight for the lead. Rounds off the podium. Marisuz Zabdyr, a decent race, but not enough to see any closure in the championship points, and only losses to both Farkas and to Biddulph, so drops down to 3rd in the standings with a 4th place finish in race 2. Nenad Blasevljevic in 5th with Phil Lawson in 6th. Then comes Shores Oyster and Pavel Mukkonen in 7th and 8th. Fraser Rostance and Stu Neal round off the top 10. Unfortunately not the race the pole sitter would have wanted by any stretch. Alan Axon, the last of those that finished, with Poddy Flack and Benny Norton 12th and 13th place. Ladies and gents, what a race that race number 2 was. It was insane. And, well, just leaves me wanting more, essentially, going into the final 3. In a week's time, on the 29th of October, we'll go to the Hockenheim Ring before a dash to the Americas for Road America, then back to Germany on the 12th of November in the most economical and environmentally friendly calendar you can absolutely think of. But nonetheless, it's a very good one. My name is Zach Sweeney. This has been the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship Season 2, Event 5, Rounds 9 and 10. And Lloyd Biddulph was close to a double whammy, but it was himself and Bence Farkas that took the 2 victories here today at the Circuit Zolder. It's been amazing to talk you through the action. That's going to round it off for here today, but be back same time next week, 8 p.m. for those in the UK, for rounds 11 and 12. Event 6 on the 29th of October. As I say, we go to the Hockenheim Ring and the battle continues. Take care and goodbye.